This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Indonesia. Hello, December. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, Alma, and hello to all the televiewers. I'm December Paraz, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. President Duterte vows to prepare for his defense for the full-blown investigation that will be conducted by the International Criminal Court into the crimes against humanity allegedly committed in his administration's drug war.
I am today announcing.
Former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. announced on Tuesday, October 5, that he will run for president in the 2022 elections.
And Thailand kicks off a student vaccination program with the government aiming to inoculate 3.61 million students aged 12 to 18 nationwide using the Pfizer vaccines in order to speed up its plan in reopening schools on November 1.
The ASEAN Summit on Spin-off Technologies, a one-day virtual event that aims to bring together research and development institutes, business and industry players, government, and academe who are involved in generating spin-off enterprises to encourage growth and competitiveness kicks off.
And first, we start here in the country. President Duterte on Monday vowed to prepare for his defense for the full-blown investigation that will be conducted by the International Criminal Court into the crimes against humanity allegedly committed during his administration's drug war. He made the remark acknowledging how the public wanted him to retire from politics. Take a look.
Ayaw nila ako maglaro pa ng politika. Gusto nila umuwi na ako sa Davao at maghintay ako sa maraming dyan na kaso. Hintayin ko kayo. I will prepare for my defense. I will prepare for my defense. Yung ICC na yan, pati yung huwag lang kayong magsinungaling. Kung totoo lang, may record naman. Hindi ko kayo tinatakot. Huwag lang ninyo akong dayain sa ebidensya. Anything na ginawa ninyo in the prosecution of the drug war, for as long as you obey the law, I will protect you. Akin yan. Akin, hindi inyo. Ako ang sasagot niyan. At kung may magkulong man, ako na ang magpakulong.
Now, despite his pronouncement, he said investigators have no jurisdiction to probe the administration's drug war since local courts are still functioning. He also reassured police officers that he will protect them as long as they perform their duties, even if it meant killing drug suspects. Last month, the ICC's pre-trial chamber gave its green light to the request of the former chief prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, to conduct a full-blown investigation into Duterte's anti-drug campaign. The ICC's move to conduct an investigation into the president's drug war came despite the Philippines formally withdrawing its membership from the ICC on March 17, 2019, or exactly a year after it revoked the Rome Statute that created the International Tribunal.
Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte said that he is hoping that the new set of leaders who would succeed his administration would continue his reforms and projects. During his talk to the people on Monday, October 4, Duterte talked for the first time about his decision to retire from politics next year. Let's take a look.
Last Saturday, respecting the will of the people, who after all placed me in the presidency several years ago, I announced my retirement from politics after my term as president. I withdrew all my vice presidential bid for next year's election after giving serious thought on the sentiment of the Filipino people expressed by different surveys, forums, caucuses, and meetings. It is time to give way to a new set of leaders who hopefully continue the reforms, projects, and programs that this administration has pursued for the past few years. It is my hope that the new set of leaders will pursue a platform of government that will build on our gains in the areas of fighting illegal drugs, criminality, corruption, terrorism, and insurgency. I likewise hope that they will continue what we have begun in the terms of infrastructure development and the many other initiatives we have undertaken during my term. With my withdrawal,
During his public address, he did not mention his daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, who had already filed her certificate of candidacy seeking re-election in the southern city. Mayor Sara filed her COC on Saturday, October 2, after her father accompanied his former longtime aide, Senator Christopher Bongo, who filed his candidacy to be the ruling PDP Laban's vice presidential candidate for the 2022 polls. President Duterte also hinted at the possible Sara Duterte-Bongo tandem in an interview afterwards, but he admitted he had not been able to talk to his daughter Inday Sara for some time, and he did not know her plans.
Meanwhile, former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. announced on Tuesday that he will run for president in the 2022 elections. Let's take a look.
I am today announcing my intention to run for the presidency of the Philippines in the upcoming May 2022 elections. Together, we must work towards a shared vision of our country through COVID and beyond COVID, to find a way through this crisis with a common goal, a vision to guide us and to lead us.
Now he joins a growing field of contenders seeking to succeed the president, Rodrigo Duterte, whose term of office ends next year. Marcos Jr., who has defended President Duterte's controversial drug war and supported the death penalty for traffickers, declared his candidacy in a Facebook Live broadcast. He said he will bring unifying leadership back to the country. Marcos Jr. was in second place behind Duterte's daughter, Sara, in a recent Pulse Asia research survey of voter preference for president, though she has denied plans to run. He said that amid the COVID-19 pandemic, we must face the challenge as one country, one people. He appealed to Filipinos to join together so the nation could recover from the pandemic. A tilt for the country's highest office comes after the former senator failed bid for the vice presidency in 2016, which he narrowly lost to Leni Robredo. Losing the election was a blow for the Marcos family, which had gone into exile in the U.S. after the patriarch's downfall in 1986.
Pediatric vaccination. The pilot pediatric vaccination in the National Capital Region will be done through phases, citing the approved guidelines for the pediatric age group. Vaccination eyed to begin on October 15. Department of Health Secretary Francisco Duque on Monday said the inoculation of 15 to 17 years old will be done first, followed by 12 to 14 years group. The DOH identified 11 comorbidities as part of priority list for pilot vaccination of 12 to 17 age group. Let's listen in.
Para lang ma-check ni Secretary Duque kung tama ang sinasabi ko, kinakailangan consent ng magulang, kinakailangan consent ng doktor para doon sa mga may comorbidity. Si Secretary Duque po.
Dagdag ko lang doon sa sinabi ni Spokes, no? Yung listahan ng comorbidities, ito na-establish na natin. So, ito po galing sa Philippine Pediatric Society and the Philippine Pediatric Infectious Disease Society of the Philippines. So, yung mga 12 po ito, no? Medical complexity, genetic conditions, neurologic conditions, metabolic and endocrine disorders, cardiovascular diseases, obesity, HIV infection, tuberculosis, chronic respiratory disease, renal disorders, hepatobiliary conditions, and immunocompromise due to disease or treatment. So ito po, dapat ay matukoy kung alin ba dito ang mga bata na naapektuhan at ito po ang magiging isa sa mga batayan for the rollout of the pediatric vaccination.
Initial natin sa pilot natin is more or less mga mga ilang libo lang muna for the meantime, and then obserbahan po natin pagka once na nakita natin na wala siyang mga tinatawag na side effects, adverse effect, major adverse effect, ay itutuloy po natin yon. Kasi ang gagawin po natin to, talaga po gagawin po natin sa mga bata para sa kaalaman po ng lahat, na gagawin po natin talagang phased, closely monitored, at saka talagang sequential ang gagawin po natin. So, nagkakaroon po kami ng tinatawag na continuous research also, yung mga ginagawang vaccination ng mga different countries. At sinabi nga po ni Charles D'Affaire, Heather Beravia, sabi nga niya na doon sa US, ang dami nilang nabakunahan na 12 to 17 at wala po siyang narinig na nagkakaroon ng major side effects.
Meanwhile, Thailand kicked off a student vaccination program with the government aiming to inoculate 3.61 million students aged 12 to 18 nationwide, using the Pfizer vaccines in order to speed up its plan in reopening schools on November 1. Take a look.
กังวลเล็กน้อยก็แบบว่าไฟเซอร์เขายังไม่ได้ค่อยได้ใช้ก็อันนี้ก็เป็นอาจจะเป็นแรกๆเลยมั้งที่ใช้ก็ผมก็กังวลที่ว่าผลกระทบที่ตามมานี่แหละครับว่าแบบที่เขาบอกก็คืออาจจะเป็นไข้ควรจะเร็วเลยเพราะแบบเราไม่ได้มาโรงเรียนแล้วก็เราคิดถึงเพื่อนอ่ะมันอยากมาโรงเรียนมากกว่า
At least 85% of students, teachers, and other staff of schools in provinces with high infection rates will have to be vaccinated against COVID-19 before schools are allowed to reopen. And according to the Bangkok Post, the Education Ministry now aims to pull dark red zone first before expanding the drive to other parts of the country. It is considering giving only one shot to boys amid concerns about a rare form of heart inflammation, following a report of such a case in the U.S. So far, only one such case, a 13-year-old boy who is now recovering in hospital, has been reported in Thailand.
Thank morning in Thailand, authorities told parents to watch their children for any warning signs to ensure they do not develop an inflammatory condition from their COVID vaccines. To tell us more, here's Jomar Baldo, EBC Thailand.
Yes, December, the Department of Medical Services advised parents and guardians to fully provide attention to their newly vaccinated children as there is an imposing threat of developing inflammatory condition called multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children, or the MISC. This is a rare disease that can severely affect the heart, lungs, kidneys, brain, skin, eyes, or gastrointestinal organs as the body's response to the COVID-19 vaccine. This was the warning made by Dr. Somsak Akasilip, the Medical Services Department's head. If remain unnoticed, this can progress to impairment of the heart functions. He also said that children with comorbidities such as obesity and diabetes are considered at higher risk. MISC has been detected in only 0.02% of cases across the globe. In Thailand, there are 40 cases reported. He added that parents need not to panic and instead monitor their children. In cases when developed potential symptoms, consultations can be sought at the Queen Sirikit National Institute of Child Health. As of the moment, there are 8 children age ranging from 9 months old to 11 years old that are confirmed cases within the hospitals of Bangkok, 6 of which is believed to be triggered by the COVID-19 infections. All parents or all patients manifested common symptoms such as appearance of rashes, fever, vomiting, diarrhea, red eyes and mouths, and even swollen hands and legs. 4 are in critical conditions with weakening heartbeats, reported by Dr. Somsak. The Ministry of Public Health plans to inoculate children aged 3 years and above as protection for the continuous prevalence of the Delta strain. Attenuated vaccines like the Sinovac, which functions like a flu shot, are considered safer for children according to local pediatricians. Back to you, December.
Thank you so much, Jomar, for that update, and please stay safe in Thailand.
You stay safe too. Reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. I am Jomar Baldo. We live in interesting times.
And now let's go out of the ASEAN bloc for a bit and go to the island nation of Maldives, where some resorts in the island said it will now start accepting cryptocurrencies. Let's hear more from Steffi Diwan joining us live. Hello, Steffi.
Hi, Alma. Yes, as hotels and resorts, 2 award-winning properties in the Maldives have begun accepting cryptocurrency or digital currency. As Hotels and Resorts has announced a groundbreaking new partnership with FTX, a leading cryptocurrency trading platform, to enable its customers to book and pay for their stays using virtual online currencies. Initially, as Hotels and Resorts, 2 award-winning properties in the Maldives, Sai Lagoon Maldives and Hard Rock Hotel Maldives, will welcome cryptocurrencies from 1st October 2021, becoming the first resorts in the country to do so. As the first resorts in the Maldives to accept cryptocurrencies, Sai Lagoon Maldives and Hard Rock Hotel Maldives are creating fresh opportunities for forward-thinking guests to book their festive holidays in the Maldives, which is fully open for international travel. Vacations at these 2 world-class resorts can be paid for in USD coins, USDC, and Tether coins, USDT, with more cryptocurrencies expected to be added in the future. Bookings must be made directly with each property's reservations department. Payments can be arranged securely from anywhere in the world. Their benefits of cryptocurrencies are manifold. They will expand the number of payment options offered by S Hotels and Resorts, targeting new and potential untapped sectors of the market, while helping hotels to drive a greater number of direct bookings. They will also appeal to a new wave of Gen Y and Gen Z consumers who operate in the online space and appreciate the convenience of virtual transactions. Founded in 2018, FTX is a global cryptocurrency exchange that has partnered with a wide range of leading virtual currency firms, including Circle, Sequoia, and Paxos, among others. It is also a responsible company, having donated more than $10 million to charities in the last 3 years. This perfectly aligns it with S Hotels and Resorts' own extensive CSR commitments. Major companies which use cryptocurrencies for financial transactions include Microsoft, AT&T, and Virgin Galactic. Crossroads Maldives, which had temporarily closed in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic, reopened the public on September 1st. And that's my quick update from Maldives. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you very much, Steffi, for that update. Cryptocurrencies, wow, that's looking forward to an update on that, on how much you're using it. Thank you very much, Steph, and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting live from Maldives, this is Stephanie Juan. We live in interesting times.
Still in line with business, while respecting the decision of individuals who do not want to get vaccinated, several business groups believe that the government and the private sector have the authority to have stricter policy for unvaccinated individuals. 13 business groups said this measure will protect the unvaccinated population, who is now the vulnerable group amid the coronavirus disease in 2019 pandemic, and will allow the economy and jobs to recover. While we also steadfastly believe that everyone has the right to decide on vaccination, we do believe that the state and the private sector should be able to restrict the activities of unvaccinated persons for the common good, the business group said in a joint statement on Monday. The groups that issued the statement include the Bankers Association of the Philippines, Cebu Business Club, Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines, Go Negosyo, Investment Houses Association of the Philippines, Makati Business Club, Philippine Business for Education, Philippine Ecozones Association, Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Philippine Retailers Association, Subdivision and Housing Developers Associations, U.S. ASEAN Business Council, and Women Business PH.
In other news, Indonesia will reopen the resort island of Bali to select international travelers next week, according to a senior minister, after the pandemic starved the holiday a hotspot of one of its primary sources of income. Now, the island's Ngurah Rai International Airport will be open to international travelers from South Korea, China, Japan, the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and New Zealand. As of October 14, Maritime and Investment Minister Luhut Panjaitan told a press conference. The partial reopening, however, doesn't include Australia, a key source of tourists before the pandemic. Now, Ngurah Rai Port in Bali will open internationally on the 14th October 2021 as long as it meets provisions and requirements regarding quarantine, COVID-19 tests, and the readiness of the task force, according to Panjaitan. He did not elaborate, though, if tourists will be eligible to visit the island or if only those with a residence permit could come. All international travelers will be required to have proof of hotel booked for a quarantine of at least 8 days at their own expense, but it remains unclear what other restrictions may apply beyond that. Indonesia was devastated by the highly contagious Delta variant of the virus, and mid-July, it recorded over 56,000 new COVID cases in just 1 day. The government announced emergency restrictions in the hardest hit area, shutting down non-essential businesses and limiting people's movement. Bali's tourism-dependent economy was also hit hard by the pandemic as millions of visitors disappeared from the palm-fringed island. But case numbers are now falling as the government ramps up vaccinations. Authorities have begun a steady easing of restrictions as the country sees a decrease in daily confirmed COVID cases and deaths, including in Bali. Malls, movie theaters, and offices in most cities have begun to reopen at reduced capacity, and some schools have begun partial offline learning.
Meanwhile, in Ho Chi Minh City's People's committee has issued a plan supporting foreigners affected by COVID-19. The plan will be launched from now until the city becomes virus-free. Accordingly, foreigners in all districts and the Tugade city who are facing difficulties in livelihoods and residents will be supported with food and social security. The city's Department of Health was required to guarantee medical supplies serving for foreigners at quarantine camps. Earlier in mid-August, Vice Chairman of the Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee, Duong An Duc, agreed to conduct vaccination against COVID-19 for foreigners living, studying, and working in the city within its capacity and resources. According to statistics from foreign embassies and consulates general, more than 200,000 foreigners are living and working in the city. Over the past time, many diplomatic officials and staff and foreign citizens living and working in HCM City or Ho Chi Minh City have been vaccinated against COVID-19 during community vaccination stages. Regarding the city's new measures on COVID-19 response and economic recovery starting from October 1, foreign consular offices, international organizations, foreign economic, cultural offices based in Ho Chi Minh shall decide their own working methods. As of early October 5, the number of locally transmitted COVID-19 cases in Ho Chi Minh City, the nation's coronavirus epicenter exceeds to 400,000. By the end of October 3, as many as 11,314 or 11,314,301 COVID-19 vaccine doses were administered, including 4,366,864 people fully vaccinated.
And back here in the country, in other news, Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade clarified that all his wealth were legitimately acquired, saying that he will be transparent and honest in answering questions and accusations in appropriate forums and manner. Take a look. In a statement, Tugade said his family's investments in Virgin Islands-based firm Solar Holdings Limited was a legitimate attempt to grow their financial portfolio and have been disclosed as offshore investments in his SAL-N from 2012 to 2020. Tugade said, quote, "This is a matter of public record and the subject offshore investments in Solar Holdings was a personal financial move that was established long before he joined the government. The company," he said, "was organized back in 2003 to hold a portion of his family's cash assets." Tugade said he has nothing to hide, expressing his willingness to answer any accusations or questions in appropriate forms and manner. Earlier, media reports accused Tugade of investing in an offshore company without disclosure in his SAL-N. Transportation Assistant Secretary Goddess Hope Oliveran branded in an open letter the Rappler article as false, misleading, and downright defamatory. She said, quote, "We take strong exception and will not take lightly this apparently well-oiled and orchestrated effort to malign and discredit the good image and reputation of Secretary Tugade and his family." She added, the camp of Tugade would exhaust all legal means to make matters straight. The information was collected by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists based on the leaked Pandora Papers. The Pandora Papers, the largest leak on offshore holdings of the wealthiest politicians and business in the world, made headlines on Monday.
And still in the Philippines has received at least 1.9 billion worth of donations from the U.S. government to boost the country's COVID-19 response. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Carlito Galvez Jr. said a part of the donation is intended to boost the country's cold storage facilities for COVID-19 vaccines. Let's listen in.
I was informed also by Madam Heather na nagbigay po ang US ng 1.9 billion na ating gagamitin sa COVID response. In fact, nagbigay po nung isang araw, 2 days ago, dumating po yung 42 freezer na gagamitin po natin na -20 at saka yung 2 to 8. Kasi nakita po ng US na kulang po yung ating mga freezer doon po sa mga geographically isolated area. So dumating po kahapon, pinakita po sa amin ang litrato at natutuwa po kami na 42 po yun na freezer. Malaki po magagamit po doon. 42 na mga municipalities ang pwede pong gumamit po noon, Mr. President.
The government is currently ramping up its vaccination drive to reach its target of administering 100 million COVID-19 vaccine doses by the end of the year. As of October 3, 2021, Galvez said they have already administered 48 million COVID-19 doses to over 24.58 million Filipinos nationwide, of which 22 million are now fully vaccinated. Galvez said they are aiming to vaccinate 80% to 90% of the country's over 100 million population before the 2022 elections in May, which he said could become a super spreader event for COVID-19 infections.
And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. December and I will be back right after this.
Ano sa palagay nyo? Abangan! Simula October 18, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Mapapanood sa Net25 TV, Facebook page and YouTube channel. Mapapakinggan din sa DZEC 1062 at Eagle FM 95.5.
Buong mundo ay naapektuhan ng COVID-19 pandemic. Mayaman at mahirap, lahat ay nagsisikap para makabangon at makabawi. Even celebrities are not exempted from lockdowns, quarantines, and other government restrictions. Many TV shows, movie productions, and even song recordings have halted. Paano ba naapektuhan ng pandemic ang kabuhayan ng ating mga kilalang celebrities? In this episode, we'll find out how two famous names in the entertainment industry started their own businesses. Songwriter and record producer Mr. Benny Saturno and TV personality Ms. Nene Tamayo will share their journey of entrepreneurship.
We make sure na maging parte tayo ng solusyon at maging parte tayo ng pagpapagaan ng sitwasyon.
Magpapatatalo sa pandemic, lalaban tayo. Sabi nga, habang buhay. Sabi nga, bawat gising, it's a blessing.
All these in this episode of Open for Business.
Welcome back. The ASEAN Summit went on a spin-off, ASEAN Summit on Spin-off Technologies, a one-day virtual event that aims to bring together research and development institutes, business and industry players, government and academia, who are involved in generating spin-off enterprises to encourage growth and competitiveness, kicked off yesterday. This is a strategic initiative as the Southeast Asian region pursues a robust post-pandemic economic recovery. Here's Mr. Lim Jokhoy, the Secretary General of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Take a look.
Excellencies and distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I'm pleased to be part of this important meeting on the spin-off of technologies, a topic that is timely and significant to ASEAN. I would like to thank the Department of Science and Technology of the Philippines for organizing this event to bring together all the stakeholders in ASEAN who are involved in generating spin-off of enterprise. Promoting and supporting the commercialization of research and innovation is central to ASEAN science, technology, and innovation cooperation, which is enshrined in the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprints 2025 and in ASEAN Plan of Action for STI 2016-2025. AI and digitalization are interconnected. The former facilitate the rapid growth of digital economy in the region. The ASEAN Digital Transformation Agenda has been promoted under various ASEAN initiatives, such as ASEAN Digital Master Plan 2025, the ASEAN Digital Integration Framework 2021-2025, and the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework. At the moment, ASEAN member states are also pushing forward the fourth industrial revolution transformation with the consolidated strategy on the 4IR for ASEAN to progress digital transformation and embrace new technology in a comprehensive manner. SME and startup are the two potential key contributors to the transformations through investing, developing, innovating, and adopting digital technologies. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, allow me to share with a few thoughts on how to further strengthen regional cooperation. First, to continuously empower our scientists, startup, and SME by linking them with industry as a means to translate their innovative products and knowledge to commercial value. The creation of an enabling environment and readily available resources for scientists, startups, SME to increase applied and industrial-based researchers will help address problems of practical importance, such as cybersecurity, data analytics, robotics, and automation. Second, to forge a stronger collaboration of multi-stakeholder to support spin-off. This could be done through developing a network of partnership between industry and university or research institution or innovation. Incentivizing R&D projects by SME and startup and promoting collaboration between SME and multinational enterprises and with regional research institutions. Third, to develop a regional program to facilitate and provide information to regional scientists, startups, and SME on commercialization of idea and innovation. A culture of innovation should be cultivated in the society to continuously inspire and harness innovators and spin-off enterprises to maximize the benefit of innovation. Fourth, to foster a hospitable and dynamic policy environment for innovative research and technology transfer, particularly increasing access to funding facilities to aid SME and startup to commercialize the innovative technologies. It is also important to attract more capital ventures, multinational companies, or to scale capital-intensive technology at a faster pace, thus providing a greater funding base and option for the startups and spin-offs. Fifth, to consider a regional ecosystem to facilitate the movement of high-skilled talents, particularly founders, innovators, and financing community for the innovation and digital startup. Effective talents, mobility practices can stimulate economic growth by equilibrating regional talents market, thus helping to overcome the problems of talent shortages and skill gap among AMS countries.
Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry is boosting research and development by making it more accessible across the country. In his message during the ASEAN Summit of Spin-off Technologies on Tuesday, DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez said the agency is organizing regional inclusive innovation centers throughout the country to democratize the development of startup communities. Let's take a look.
In the global knowledge economy, technology-driven innovations, in principle, are generated through a strategic confluence of knowledge creation through robust research and development, organized teams of startups, an entrepreneurial mindset, and sound business practice. The presence of startup enterprises capitalizing on rigorous R&D to generate new products, services, processes, or other solutions is vital to the growth of the country's knowledge economy. Through the process of iterations, redesigning and revisions, and customer discovery, startups refine technologies that lead to even better innovations and conceivably bigger markets. The collateral benefits also include job creation, increased customer demand, and a more vibrant exchange of goods and services. It is in this context why we at the Department of Trade and Industry are deeply committed to working with the Department of Science and Technology, our partner, and of course the other agencies and stakeholders that foster knowledge production and creation, such as our universities and colleges. And to me, this is the real heart of entrepreneurship, the DNA of entrepreneurship. We are growing and enabling the country's startup communities and nourishing our young entrepreneurial talents in the technology and creative industries through the startup development programs that will bring products, services to the global market, such as the Global Acceleration Program, or GAP, Strategic MSMLE and Startup Link, the Startup Acceleration and Incubation by DTI, International and Local Exposure Assistance Program, or ILEAP, and Startup Venture Fund. The DTI is also democratizing the development of startup communities across the country by organizing the Regional Inclusive Innovation Centers, or RIICs, that serve as the integrating portal to region-based resources that can be tapped by startups, micro SMEs, and regional-based industries for local enterprise development and advancement, as well as in positioning regional products in the global value chain and ensuring their competitive edge in the global market. One thing we always have to remember as we develop the R&D, as we develop the products, is to really make it market-based, or shall we say demand-driven. And that is, to us, again, another effective way in the process of innovation. In closing, let me reiterate what colleagues in government and I have said all along. Kasama po natin si Secretary Boy and the other agencies. We do need an ecosystem approach to enhancing innovation and value creation and to supporting our startups and other enterprises in order for them to engage productively in the global knowledge economy. Together, we search for solutions for local problems, provide tailor-made products and services to the newly connected and interconnected customers, capitalize on niches and competitive advantage, and use all this as a jumping board to gain insights into what products the larger global markets may need. This is what makes our innovation products much more inclusive and meaningful, and consequently usable and easier to diffuse in the markets.
The news continues in ASEAN in Focus after this short break.
I will never be alright. Just stay, always be by my side. Right here, right now, lady, just stay. don't go away.
Hi guys, this is C13 at abangan niyo po ako bilang guest performer sa Letters and Music sa darating na Sabado, October 9, 1 to 2 p.m. At syempre, ito lang yun po sa Net25. See ya!
Welcome back. The Philippine government has called for a new democratic multilateralism and an inclusive world economy that empowers not only a few but also the marginalized and vulnerable. In a pre-recorded message to the 15th United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD 15, on October 5, Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. highlighted the need for a decisive transformation of multilateralism to address the gaps in multilateral development processes and the long-ignored vulnerabilities of developing countries, especially with the ongoing global health crisis. Take a look.
Addressing them requires a decisive transformation of multilateralism. I do not mean revising the rules-based international order that underpins the United Nations. Authoritarianism is not making a comeback in any lasting sense. It is just disguising itself as a call for intelligent order in democratic societies. But authoritarians do not possess intelligence. It is why they opt for sweeping, singular, ignorant, and immoral responses. Our call for transformation proceeds from a recognition of persistent inequity in global governance. We need a new outlook that does not shy from a factual diagnosis of the state of affairs. While globalization has been a force for substantial progress, it has left the many behind by enriching a few more. This new democratic multilateralism must facilitate inclusive transformations and resilient structures that leave less behind and take many more forward. In the digital economy, in the creative economy, in universal health coverage, in migration and remittances, and the employment of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Importantly, it must always integrate the interests of all developing countries, including middle-income countries where 75% of the world's population and 62% of the world's poor live. Ignoring these facts means a world economy where developing countries exploit the underdeveloped, the poor exploiting the poorer among themselves. What we have in mind is a world economy that fosters the well-being, inclusion, and empowerment of the marginalized and vulnerable. We seek a new world order, no longer for some, but for all. Finally, we need a multilateralism that looks beyond the broader horizon of the current crisis to the one that has been upon us and which we should put at front and center of our best endeavor, the mortal and well-advanced challenge of climate change. In this bold reinvention of multilateralism, UNCTAD must reclaim its centrality.
Established in 1964, the UNCTAD is considered the most inclusive multilateral forum for trade and development. Its three pillars of policy analysis, technical cooperation, and consensus building are intended to promote the interests of developing countries and to bridge the gap between poor and rich states. Many of the principles of global trade and development, including the special and differentiated treatment for developing countries in the World Trade Organization and generalized scheme of preferences, originated in UNCTAD discussions. The Philippines hosted the FINC UNCTAD in Manila back in 1979.
Still in the Philippines, the country has temporarily banned the importation on beef from the United Kingdom after London confirmed an outbreak of classical mad cow disease, dealing another blow to food manufacturers' raw material supply. The Department of Agriculture issued Memorandum Order 60 dated October 4, authorizing the temporary ban on the importation of live cattle meat and meat products derived from cattle from the United Kingdom. Based on the document signed by Agriculture Secretary William Idar, all beef shipments from the United Kingdom en route to the Philippines shall be allowed to enter the country, provided that the slaughter and production date of the product is on or before August 31, 2021. The DA based its ban on the report of the United Kingdom to the World Organization for Animal Health last month, confirming an outbreak of classical bovine spongiform encephalopath BSE in a farm in Somerset, southwest England. During a normal situation, a closure of the United Kingdom beef supply would not make a dent in the country's overall beef supply, since it only accounts for about 2 to 4% of the annual total beef imports. However, the temporary import ban on United Kingdom beef came at a time that Brazil, the country's largest source of beef imports, is also banned from exporting beef to the Philippines. Last month, the Philippines slapped a temporary import ban on Brazilian beef products, including live cattle, after the Latin American country reported an outbreak of a typical BSE.
Staying in the country, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology, or PHIVOLCS, reported on Tuesday night anomalously high volcanic sulfur dioxide, or SO2, from the Taal Volcano. Take a look. The highest ever recorded volcanic SO2 in Taal was at 25,456 tons a day today. That, according to the agency, in an advisory issued at 7 p.m. PHIVOLCS noted that SO2 emission has averaged 8,854 tons per day since September 27, or when the volcano became seismically quiet or not generating a volcanic earthquake in a day. Volcanic earthquakes are caused by movements or eruptions of magma. PHIVOLCS said degassing at the main crater has been visibly moderate to strong and generated steam-laden plumes as high as 3,000 meters above the Taal Volcano Island, or TVI. Alert level 2, decreased unrest still prevails over Taal Volcano. Current SO2 parameters indicate high levels of magmatic degassing from the main crater, which could result in explosive activity. PHIVOLCS reiterated at level 2, sudden steam or gas-driven explosions, volcanic earthquakes, minor ashfall, and lethal accumulations or expulsions of volcanic gas can occur and threaten areas within and around the TVI. Entry into TVI, especially the vicinities of the main crater and the Daang Castilla fissure, as well as activities on Taal Lake, must be strictly prohibited, according to PHIVOLCS. The agency asked local government units to continuously assess and strengthen the preparedness of previously evacuated barangays around Taal Volcano or around Taal Lake in case of renewed unrest. And that's it for today's broadcast. Thank you, December, as always, for keeping me company today here on ASEAN in Focus.
Thank you to Alma, and that's the latest news in the dynamic ASEAN region. I'm December Paras of EBC Indonesia Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And we'll see you back tomorrow here on ASEAN in Focus, same time, same place. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.